Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to another Carrick webinar today in conjunction with One Global Property Services, not only on how Nigerians can invest in UK property, but also the launch of a very exciting development in London. By now, many of you will know me already, but for those who I'm yet to meet, my name is Jarryd Jacklin. I'm a private wealth manager for the Carrick Group of companies, and I'm based currently out of our international office here in Mauritius. Now, this webinar is another example of the value that we're adding to our clients' global portfolios, not only throughout Africa, but the rest of the world as well. And we're continuing to help create peace of mind in these uncertain times that we all find ourselves in. Also, very excited again to introduce our guest speaker, George Radford, Managing Director of One Global. Some of you may have met him already as well. And he will soon share some more insights, information, and opportunities available in the market from an international property investment standpoint. And One Global is one of Carrick's preferred and very close partners who continue to lead the pack in the international property market, which George will go into a lot more detail on during this session as well. Also, for those who are relatively new to your relationship with Carrick, we are an award-winning independent and holistic private wealth management company, and we continue to assist all of our clients globally in every aspect of their personal financial journeys. We work in multiple asset classes, in hard currencies, in the most secure jurisdictions with the largest financial institutions, while always maintaining at our core principles of protection, preservation, growth, and service. Now, we all know, of course, that diversification is key, and today we're discussing property, but this very often is at the core of anyone's assets and financial planning. Time and time again, it has proven to provide stability, capital growth, and international income, but even more so when done correctly with the massive levels of research that you will see shortly. One of the many reasons why we have chosen to work closely with George and One Global. So before I hand over, just some very quick notes. If at any stage during the presentation you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box on the right-hand side. We'll pick them up during the course of the presentation and have a Q&A session at the end. And enjoy. So George, again, thank you for your time, welcome, and I'll pass straight over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jarryd. Big welcome to everyone from England. Me being in England, obviously I know lots of the attendees are based in Africa. Nigeria is a country very close to my heart, been there many a time, missed my trips to Lagos and Abuja. So yeah, big welcome to everyone. And I'm looking forward to presenting to you today and giving you an insight to our business and presenting a landmark new development which we are launching. So in terms of background on the business, so One Global Property Services has been going since 2017. In a nutshell, what do? We assist individual clients anywhere in the world invest in direct residential property, predominantly in the United Kingdom. And you know, what we do is we go about property investment in a very sophisticated way and ensure that it's done safely, effectively, and efficiently for clients to ensure that the return on investment is optimized. We've won many awards over the years for our work. And in terms of background on myself, I specialize in working with individual clients, predominantly in the Africa region, and helping them to build UK property portfolios. My wife is South African, and I've got lots of clients across the continent. I had the pleasure of traveling to many of sub-Saharan Africa. So I understand the investment drivers for clients based in various parts of Africa, but especially Nigeria. And I also understand some of the challenges of investing from those parts of the world. So I'm very well placed to assist you. I forgot to thank Jarryd and his team for the invitation. So thank you very much to Carrick and the whole Carrick team for putting this presentation together. and inviting me to present. So in terms of the services that we provide, obviously if you're investing in international property, there are various things that need to be done. Right at the outset, we need to do the due diligence and look at the markets that we're investing in, making sure that they are safe and secure, they have a strong legal system, there's good financing options available, there's a strong growth story, there's good value, there's a strong rental market, and the developers that we are working with are the best in market to ensure that they deliver our clients, the best product that's going to deliver the best return and deliver on the investment promises. The investment advisory side is really sitting down with individual clients and understanding clients' requirements, and then aligning a client's requirements with the most suitable property to meet their investment needs. And of course, we undertake that process with Carrick and Carrick Wealth Financial Advisors. Then once we've identified the property that best suits your needs, the conveyancing process is where we appoint the solicitors. So we have a panel of solicitors that we like to work with in any market. But in the UK, we have a select panel of solicitors who we know are a safe pair of hands and protect our clients' interests and also present good value. On the mortgage side, so we facilitate the mortgage if clients are looking to finance the purchase, and we work with a network of mortgage brokers and also directly with the lenders, the banks themselves. Once the property is completed, maybe in a year's time, let's say, we undertake the full lettings and management. So we do that in-house and we undertake the whole process. So from the property handover, doing the snagging, marketing the property, securing the tenant, collecting the rent, and then 5-10 years later, when you wish to liquidate your property and sell it, then we're here at the back end to sell the property for you. So very much a turnkey solution. I mentioned, we pride ourselves on working with the best developers in market, and we very much do. So today we are going to be presenting a project with City and Docklands, who are a market leader in terms of London property development. But you can see on here, there's a whole host of, PLC developers, Taylor Wimpey, Barratt London, Berkeley Group, Galliard Homes, some of the biggest and best developers in the United Kingdom. All right, so let's have a look at the UK and London. So why do our clients like investing in UK property, and why may some of the clients on this webinar today, why may they have invested in the UK before, or why might you be looking to invest in the UK in the future? So quite simply, the UK is the most popular buy-to-let investment market in the world, and we'll come on to that in a second. But the reasons being, it's got a very robust, strong underlying economy. It's a very low interest rate environment, which is good, obviously, for economic growth, but very good for lending on the mortgage financing. Favourable exchange rates. I know the Naira has had quite a horrible time of late, but I know a lot of clients in Nigeria hold US dollar, and the pound is still relatively weak against the USD. Sound legal system, which I've touched upon already. Undersupply. So in the UK, depending on what time it is, we're looking at about 100 to 150,000 units that we are short of every year to meet domestic demand. So that's obviously very healthy for driving up values. World-class education facilities, which I will come on to later on. We've got some of the best universities in the world in the United Kingdom. Centrally located, very, very important for commerce, which links into the accessibility of London itself. It's got access to 4 major airports, some of the biggest airports in the world, which is why London continues to be the #1 financial and insurance centre and capital of Europe, and in many ways the capital of the financial services industry in the world. Infrastructure is key, and my presentation is going to focus on infrastructure. The Crossrail is the largest infrastructure project that's taken place in Europe. and that is the new train line that runs across central London, 100 kilometres of track, and I will elaborate on that shortly. The strong rental market, you know, most of our clients buy properties to rent out for investment purposes. Lots of clients do buy to live in as well, or maybe for their children to live in. Lucky children at education, university in London, and nice place to live. But most clients do buy for investment purposes, and that's why rental demand is key. And we know that London very much is a safe haven market. So linked into that, being a safe haven market, this is quite an interesting chart here. So this is the average price of London property in January 2000, £130,000. January 2010, 279,000, so more than doubled in 10 years. And 10 years later, what, 2019, 2018, 473,000. Today, we are around 500,000, the average London property price. So they've tripled in 20 years, in short. So the moral of the story here is if you buy London property, you buy well, you hold for a 10-year period, maybe not that long, but let's say 10 years, then invariably you will make very good money. I mentioned earlier that the UK and London as well are, you know, arguably the most popular buy-to-let investment markets in the world, and this shows it. So we can see Africa here. This is the first, the second, and the third most popular markets for foreign investors. So Africa, the UK is number one, and you can see the UK is the number one market for most jurisdictions. Of course, the United States is also very popular for African-based clients. Lots of my Nigerian clients have close affiliation with the US from an education perspective. Family are based there. But ultimately, when buying property, the UK is an easier market to invest in, and the overall return on investment is higher than similar properties in the United States. So that's why the UK is, in my view, a favourable market, and this shows that it is the most popular market. So here's the development. This is quite visual, purposely done to try and do justice to this development. This is a really significant project. It's the tallest residential tower in West London, 54 stories. I mentioned earlier we're working with City and Docklands, a fantastic developer, and it is probably the most significant new residential tower coming out of the ground in London currently. It's magnificent. So let's have a look and put it into context. So this is One West Point here, this tower here. Many of you will recognise this iconic building, the Gherkin, in the city. So One West Point, our project we're launching today, is taller than the Gherkin, and it's marginally smaller than the BT Tower. And then obviously here you've got Leadenhall building, and then the Shard, which is the tallest office building in Europe. Big Ben, Westminster, and then the London Eye. So it just shows you what a significant development is, and poor little London Bridge and London Tower of London down there. But anyway, 54 stories is vast for a residential development. The views are absolutely magnificent. So every different apartment has far-reaching views across the whole of London. And I'm just going to talk a bit more about the area that surrounds the property and why there's so much happening here and why it makes sense for investment purposes. And then I will come back and focus a bit more on the development itself. Okay, so in total there's 701 units, 4 stories in total, and the one that we are launching today is the tallest one, which is 54 units. So in terms of the area itself, so this is there's a huge redevelopment plan that encompasses this whole area here. £26 billion redevelopment, which is significant. We're building 40,000 new homes and creating 65,000 new jobs. It's a new city, a new business district in London, a bit like Canary Wharf, I suppose. The value add to the economy per year from this area is going to be £7.6 billion, which is, that's a very, very significant amount. In order to place this on a map, Wembley is to the north. To the southeast here, we've got White City. Coming further across, we've got the likes of Paddington and the West End. And then the City of London is here. So digging a bit deeper into the redevelopment plan. So it encompasses 16,000 acres, which is quite significant space. And as I mentioned, we're essentially building a new city here. So One West Point is the tower here, which is the flagship new development that is currently under construction. And then we've got North Acton Station here. Down here, which I'm going to focus on in a second, is the Old Oak Common interchange station. So this is the only point at which HS2 and Crossrail, there's an interchange. And then White City is down here. But what we've got here is, as I mentioned, a redevelopment of an area, creating every single amenity under the sun: business districts, residential towers, leisure facilities, retail facilities, with a connecting train station which can get you anywhere in the United Kingdom. So to sort of further place the development, this is the development here: One West Point, Park Royal, Old Oak Common, and then, as I mentioned, the West End is not too far away. Heathrow Airport is out to the west, and then across here we've got the City of London. So the new train station that's being built at Old Oak Common is going to accommodate 250,000 passengers every day. So that puts it on par, just slightly below par, with the likes of London Waterloo train station, which many will be familiar with. So what we have here is the only point where Crossrail, which is the new train line, the Elizabeth line, running across central London from east to west, and HS2, which a lot of people will know is the new high-speed rail link from London to Birmingham. This is the only point that those two lines cross over, and we're building, there's a new interchange. The United Kingdom building a new interchange here, about £1.3 billion project. And this is going to just transform this whole area. To give you an idea, from the property, you can get to Birmingham in 40 minutes. You can get into Euston, King's Cross in 9 minutes, Bond Street in 9 minutes, and then you can get across to, excuse me, to Paddington in 6 minutes. So remarkable connectivity. And that really is one of the key points I'd like to get across today. So the new station being built, which is a 850 meter walk from the development, about 8-9 minutes walk from the property, and then here is the new interchange station, and you can get on the train there and go anywhere. To sort of make it a bit more realistic, there you go. That is the new HS2 Super Hub. So a bit like the Starship Enterprise, isn't it? It's going to be absolutely incredible. So construction has now started, and this is going to be the largest purpose-built train station ever built in the United Kingdom from scratch. The likes of Waterloo, as I mentioned, are slightly bigger, but they've been built and expanded on over centuries. So I mentioned it's a £26 billion redevelopment programme. The Grand Union Park, which is on the doorstep of the development, One West Point, it has all of the retail, leisure, business facilities that one would require. And this is a short walk or a short train ride from the development. I mentioned education earlier, absolutely crucial, obviously, and a lot of my Nigerian clients, a lot of my clients in Africa are very focused on, obviously, their children's education, but investing in property as a tool to either make a profit from and use that money to fund for their children's education, or to buy property that potentially their children can use when they are at university. And 4 minutes from the development, from the local train station, we can get it to Imperial College London, which is ranked in the top, typically in the top 10 universities in the world, 4 minutes by train. London School of Economics, LSE, is 20 minutes on the Central Line. So hugely well connected to some of the best educational institutions in the world. Okay, so the final part of the presentation will be quite visual. I just want to show you the development in a bit more detail. So there's a central courtyard area between the 4 towers. Every single unit has outdoor space, has balconies, and the communal facilities are vast. And I'll just touch upon those now. So in terms of the amenities, 24-hour concierge service, valet parking, private dining facilities. There's a number of restaurants going in, a branded coffee shop, yoga studio, gymnasium, cinema screening room, there's a children's soft play room. I wish I had one of those. Not for me personally, for my son. Dog daycare, quite useful if you're off to work and you've got a pet. And then there's extensive co-working facilities, which obviously very, very important in today's market when so many of us are working from home or will continue to partly work from home. So this development really is being built. It's a very visionary development that is mindful of, modern day requirements for tenants and also for owner occupiers. So just to elaborate on some of the facilities here, you can see here the internal reception area. It looks like a 5-star hotel, doesn't it? It really is. This is the coffee shop, so indoor coffee shop with external facilities as well. Then we've got the gymnasium, which is very, very well equipped. There's a virtual golf facility, which is always good fun. We've got a business conference centre. So as I mentioned, for home working, there's also private dining facilities within here. So literally within the building, you go down the lift and you're in the business centre. So absolutely fantastic. And then finally, a few more pictures of the development. So we've got here a private screening room, so you can have your friends over, have a private dinner, and watch a movie or watch the sport, maybe more up some people's street. And then the apartments themselves, the finish is absolutely fantastic. You know, the developer is very meticulous in how they go about stuff, all of the finest appliances and materials that are used in terms of flooring, kitchen facilities, connectivity in the building is world class as well. So again, very equipped for modern day home working requirements. As I mentioned, every unit has outdoor space in terms of balconies. The kitchens are absolutely stunning. The living area. I told you there's quite a lot of slides here in terms of visuals, so I'll slow down. Bedroom, obviously. And the views are absolutely spectacular. I've got lots of new photographs actually from the development that were taken a few days ago. So if anyone would like to receive those, then please do get in contact with Jarryd and his team. And we would be more than happy to share those with you. But far-reaching views across the West End. You can see Hyde Park from the higher floors. It's spectacular. Okay, just a couple more slides and then we're done. So I've remarkably kept the presentation quite short, which is quite an achievement for me. So the construction is well underway. You can see here. So the facade is going up, the cladding. We're up to in excess of the 40th floor now. Obviously, there's a long way to go from an internal fittings and and so on and so forth. The expected completion date is phased between the end of 2022 and the start of 2023. But the most important thing is we're well underway and actually ahead of schedule. And there you can see there's a final, the latest construction update there. So any of our clients, quite a good point, I suppose, any of our clients that buy from us, then they are kept updated, typically with quarterly updates on the building progress. So you're kept up to speed as to whether we're ahead or behind of schedule, and it's always exciting, isn't it, to see some images of your new property being built. So we're very much on top of that and keep clients very well updated. So in terms of the key facts then, just to finish on those, and then I'll hand back to Jarryd to do a Q&A and to summarise. So the developer here is City and Docklands, a fantastic London developer with a very strong track record. It's a 999-year leasehold, so it's a virtual freehold. I mentioned the completion is the back end of 2022. It's phased completion, so a year and a half, a year and 3/4 away from today. 54 stories in our tower, 362 units in total, over 701 units, the total size of the development, and our block, our tower is 362 units. The units are 1 and 2 bed apartments. The 1 bed start from just over £500,000 and the 2 beds are just under £700,000. A few other points here. There's a 10-year building warranty. The yields are decent for this type of development in London, so just shy of 4% yields, which is compelling. And then in terms of the payment terms, so how it works is not just for this project, but for any project. Initially, there's a £2,000 reservation fee, which is paid to secure a specific unit. Then the solicitors would be instructed, and once we're in a position to legally exchange contracts, you would be required to pay an additional 5% deposit. So that would be typically 14 to 28 days from today, or from reservation. And then across the construction period, there are additional 5% payments. So over the next 18 months, let's say, you are 20% down in terms of deposits, and then the balance of 80% is due on completion in a year and a half, a year and 3/4 from now. So to sort of simplify that, over the next 18 months on a 1 bed apartment for £500,000, you'd be looking at paying down £100,000, and then the balance would be payable on completion. Probably in closing from my side, firstly, thank you very much for your time. I know we've got a Q&A to do now, Jarryd, but this is just one example of many of our projects. But this really is a hugely significant and flagship London project, and it's been a real pleasure presenting it to you today. So, Jarryd, I will pass back to you.
Great, George. Thank you very much. Some questions have come through, and I'll go through them very shortly. There is a trend of a few certain types of questions as well. But just a reminder, if you do have any questions, we do have some time now if you want to get some in the chat box on the right-hand side. If we aren't able to get through all of them, we of course will follow up afterwards, and then we will of course be in touch with all of you that have actually registered and attended. Just on that note, while questions are coming through, because we have so many people interested in this property, so many people on the webinar today, if you do want us to prioritize sort of getting in touch with you, either myself or your representative from Carrick, please feel free to type yes in the chat box on the right-hand side while we are going through the Q&A session, just so we know sort of when to contact you sort of first, and then take it from there. Okay. But George, just a few sort of themed questions really. I've made a note of a few of them as they have come through because there are quite similar ones. One of them that I got quite often is, when is the completion date, which you may have gone through already for this project? When do you expect it to be complete?
Yes, so end of 2022 or 2022. It's a phased completion, and then some apartments will complete in Q1 2023. Obviously, you know, it's a year and a half, a year and 3/4 away, and the construction updates will be issued to buyers across the construction period, because it may be it comes in a little bit ahead of that, or obviously it could push out ever so slightly as well.
Okay, perfect. And another one, obviously there are many people that are interested. Some have asked about sort of the process or next steps to take from here. And I think, George, just before I sort of let you jump in on that, from our side at Carrick, the first step is, of course, you to reach out to your Carrick representative, or we can reach out to you as well if you type yes in the box over here. We will then have a call with you. We can set up a meeting with George, you know, so we can be there every step of the way, as George will as well. And then from there, George, can you maybe just summarize the sort of process that you'll come from that side?
Hello? Jarryd, sorry, I think my camera went off. Apologies. So, yeah, absolutely. So from my side, in terms of the process, yeah, absolutely, it's very much working with yourself and your team and individual clients, understanding their requirements. This is just, as I mentioned, one example, a very fine example of one of our developments, but we have a whole range of different opportunities in London, and also some key regional UK cities such as Birmingham and Manchester, which really present different investment levels for clients with different budgets and clients with different requirements. So very much as a consultation, understanding clients' individual requirements and preferences, and then aligning that with an investment strategy and recommending the most suitable properties to meet their investment needs.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And then a question that often does get asked as well, George, the requirements, of course, for the payment. Okay, you did outline the process for that, but always at the top of the question list is what is the mortgage opportunity like? You know, do you assist with that directly? What's the sort of process or opportunities there, or requirements rather?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a number of lending options available. We work, you know, directly with mortgage brokers. So we have a network of mortgage brokers who are experts in that field, but also we have very strong relationships directly with a number of lenders. So for Nigerian-based clients, it really depends on the individual client, and we would have to do an individual assessment on, you know, one's income. If clients have dual nationality, that's obviously useful. If you've got a dual British nationality, lots of my Nigerian clients do. It's not essential, but it's useful. If you have a UK footprint, UK bank account, ever worked in the UK, own existing UK property, that's useful, not essential again. And then obviously one's employment. We can work with both employed and self-employed people, but you know, the options do vary depending on whether one is employed by a big international or self-employed by a local Nigerian company, for example. Obviously, income levels. If clients are generating, let's say, £45,000–50,000 gross income a year, then that's enough to qualify for an international mortgage. One's age, typically the UK banks or banks lending in the UK won't lend beyond the age of 75. So yeah, that need to be mindful of that. So those are really the key things that we would look at. We also work with a lot of local banks, GT Bank, as an example, Access Bank. They have products for our Nigerian clients. Standard Bank, they have a good product for Nigerian-based clients, as long as we get that minimum loan size of £200,000. I could go on, but ultimately it comes back to the same thing, and that's sitting down with a client or having a Zoom call in today's world, understanding their requirements, and then giving some advice on what sort of products would be available to them. Yeah, because it's all very much client-specific. The loan to values anywhere from 50% at the highest rate, probably 65%. Interest rates 3.5% on a really good day, up to say 4.5%, I would say.
Okay, perfect. Just a very quick question as well that's come through. Someone's wanting to have a look at the slides from the presentation today to speak with business partners. Can have access to them? Yes, of course. So we'll be sending those through from our side at Carrick as well. So those will be coming through to you, absolutely. Another question, George. Someone has mentioned that they are in London at the moment and they're wondering if they can come to the construction site and actually have a look at the process or the progress and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Please get in touch with Jarryd or a member of his team, and then they'll help coordinate it.
Perfect. And another one here, which you have answered already, the expected rental income. I think you have gone through that. That is in the slides as well. There is a question also, if I've paid 20% during the 20% during the instalment period, but I can't pay the 80% balance, what would you say to that, George? What happens? What are the options?
Yeah, the 80% balance is that's just setting out that there is 80% payable. Naturally, most clients would potentially look to take financing. So if you're taking a 50% mortgage, then obviously you're only going to pay 30% on completion. I mean, with any of these purchases, typically, you purchase on the basis that you are in a position to complete. In the event that there was a drastic change in circumstances, then it's a matter of approaching the developer and looking for authorization to assign the contract, and then we've got to take a resale process essentially to relieve you from that contract of sale.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, George. Just having a look, a few others have come through, but there are a little bit of the same questions. In London. Okay, so there are some more questions coming through. I think a few people were disconnected. Projected return on investment and payback period. That is in the slides. You have covered that as well. We can always send a copy of or a recording of the presentation through. But again, also, any questions that we have not got through, I'm just conscious of time as well, we can address one-on-one directly. So for everyone who has attended, please feel free to reach out directly to myself or your Carrick representative.
Jarryd, just on that, in terms of the return on investment, I touched on the yields and sort of potential capital growth for London generically. I would say if we're looking at this on a 10-year hold, taking a 60% mortgage over a 10-year period, you'd be looking at 70–80% return on investment, and all being well, it could be a lot more than that. That's quite conservative.
Okay. Perfect. George, I think we've covered most of the sort of the main questions there. As I said, we will address every question today, tomorrow, and right through the coming weeks, and we'll be having meetings, of course, as well. But from my side, thank you to everyone who's attended today and for taking time out. George, massive thank you to you once again. Always enjoy your presentations and the insights, and of course the developments that you and your company bring to the table. So really appreciate your time. Looking forward to catching up soon. Anything else from your side before we end off?
No, brilliant. Thank you very much, Jarryd and Carrick team, and of course, thank you very much to all the clients that attended today, and all the best to everyone who will be in touch.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Keep well and stay safe.